So if you don't know who H3 are, they're a husband and wife duo who make comedic content on YouTube.
I just appropriated your culture, bitch.
Now, if you've never seen one of their videos or never encountered them, you've definitely seen something that was inspired by them. They got quite famous making these reaction style videos, finding crazy stuff, reality TV generally, reacting to it, making fun of the people involved, and they got huge from that. Then they stopped. They switched over to making their podcast and really focusing their energy on that. Needless to say, people were not very happy about the switch. Needless to say, those people can suck my So why do I think that switch happened? I mean, there's the easy explanation, which is pretty simple. People subscribed for the content that they liked, the reaction videos, then when they switched to something else, they might not have liked a podcast, so they didn't like it. But to be honest, it's much more complicated than that. Usually because if you just don't like a podcast, you just stop watching. Maybe you're a bit disappointed there's not the videos you liked in the past, and if someone comments, I'm sad, I prefer the previous stuff, whatever, that's life, and they can feel sad about that. But the fact that if you go through comments, and there are insane comments about how they hate everything, how they want Ethan to die, how he's fat, how he sucks, how he's a hypocrite, the hate train is insane. Now, the reason for that is not because people dislike podcasts. The reason for that is a little bit more complicated, because I think there is a specific reason. Now, I could be totally wrong, and you could argue with me in the comments. I'm happy to do that. I love a good internet debate, so let's do it. Let's go down. I got a little free time, ready to roll. Dude, I got all day to argue with you in the comments. I am willing. I'm ready to do it. I type really fucking fast. I'll argue with you all day, motherfucker. I'll do it. So there's 3 types of videos that H3 Productions made that got huge and really propelled them into the mainstream on YouTube. The first is making fun of other YouTubers, the cringy, stupid stuff that they did. The second is making fun of prank videos. And the third is making fun of social justice warriors.
Crazy the social justice warrior shit has gotten. The cult of outrage. Why are you so upset? I read that on WikiHow, so I think it's pretty reputable.
We're planning on watching another triggered feminist video.
I just appropriated your culture, bitch.
Making fun of social justice warriors was a huge trend at the time, and H3 was kind of the biggest proponent of it. They were really the spearhead at making fun of social justice warriors and the social justice community. So understandably at the time, the social justice community did not like H3 Productions very much. And so you have this huge subsection of the internet that hates H3 and hates Ethan because of that. Obviously, the social justice community are not avid watchers of H3 Productions because of that. So they're not the people we're talking about in this video, but they are a big element of the hate online. We're talking about the people who hated the switch from H3 Productions to the H3 podcast. Now, those people do not hate the podcast because, they just don't like podcasts and it's a change of format. That is not the reason why they hate it. Disliking a format and disliking a podcast or thinking someone's not a good host does not explain the unbelievable level of passionate fury that these people feel about Ethan, Hila, and all of H3 Productions. The reason for that is because when you have millions of views coming from being anti-social justice, you start to gather people who really, really agree with that message. You gather people who are anti-social justice. You gather people who are more conservative, and you gather people who are, let's face it, a bit more alt-right. And so what H3 did was they ended up gathering this huge community of these people. And so when there was a shift to the podcast, you now have Ethan and Hila talking for 3 hours about themselves, sharing their real opinions. And whoa, turns out they are not alt-right, nor are they even really conservative. In fact, they're fairly progressive Bernie supporters.
Bernie Sanders. I woke up and I was like, Bernie fucking Sanders for president. He was going to become president.
Well, those are my 2 favorite options for sure.
And so what you end up having now is this big portion of the community that followed Ethan for thinking he was one of them. He was a part of this anti-social justice warrior crowd. Well, they end up hating Ethan now because he's betrayed them. He's not who they thought he was. And not only that, he has totally stopped making the types of videos that they like. So I would argue for some of these people who are commenting this crazy stuff online, it's not about Ethan switching from a type of content that they liked to a type of content that they didn't. It's about them realizing that his opinions, his politics, are not the same as theirs. Which is why if you scroll through the posts on the subreddit and you scroll through the YouTube comments, you get a whole host of people being like, why is H3 so political? I cannot believe H3 is so political. I'm just so tired of the podcast being political. Did Ethan really have to make the podcast political? Can't he just make goofs? Shut the fuck up. It has always been political. Making fun of a social justice warrior on BuzzFeed, it's political. The big argument that you see these people make is that it is a shift from being non-political to suddenly being political. But that's a lie. It's not true. It's not a shift from being apolitical to political for these people. It's a shift from politics that they agreed with to politics that they didn't. They loved it when Ethan was politically making fun of social justice warriors and liberals. Now they don't like it when he's making fun of conservatives and he's making fun of people in the alt-right. That's the shift. It's not about a change from content that they like to content that they don't like. It's a shift in personality, and that's why the passion is so huge. Eric just seems woke, and H3H3 is following what the mass majority of people believe and feel. Pandering, if you will. I guess that's just what popular people do in this society. This comment exemplifies exactly what I'm talking about. People do not dislike Ethan because of the podcast. Yes, people might not like the podcast. Yes, people may have preferred the previous content. Yes, people might not think he's a good host. Maybe they don't think he's amazing as the podcast that they like. But those kind of issues do not lead to the level of like hatred and fervor and just, my God, insanity that you will find in comment sections on H3 videos. For some people, it transcends into an actual genuine hatred for Ethan and for H3.
Fuck you, Ethan. I liked you, but now you are uneducated piece of shit part of the social justice warrior community. I hate you. People on the left are getting triggered. Now people on the right are getting triggered. It's getting out of control.
So what ended up happening by making so many of these anti-social justice warrior videos is that this community kind of lauded Ethan and H3 Productions as being on their side, one of the team. And so when it shifted over, it felt like a huge betrayal to them. And so that's where the hatred comes from. And you're kind of stuck in this spit roast of hatred, unfortunately, because the social justice community remembers those videos and hates Ethan because of it. And then the hatred from the more alt-right community because they feel betrayed by the more political nature of H3 Productions. The fact is, H3 Productions is not suddenly political. It has always been political. You don't dislike it because it shifted from being apolitical to being political. You don't like it because it shifted from being your politics to politics that you don't like. And you know what? That's fine. If you don't like it, don't watch it. I think this is one of the biggest things online that I think people need to just get with. If you don't like something, don't watch it. If you don't like Ethan's opinions, great. Don't watch him voice them. If you don't like the things they're talking about, great, don't watch it. If you don't like the podcast, don't watch it. Are you disappointed that he doesn't make those types of videos you used to like? Sure. That's a fair thing to be annoyed about. But to comment that someone is fat, to comment that someone is ugly, to comment that someone is arrogant or hypocritical, to comment that someone should die because they don't make the content that you like anymore, my God, get over it. It's a guy you don't know making videos about stuff. Who cares? Who cares?
Is anyone else tired of Ethan? At least when he was sharing his real opinions, it was worth watching. But now that all he does is cack for social justice warriors and pander to libtards for views, it's a waste of time. Plus the podcast sucks.
Gamer girl.
H3
coming through on that ass, baby. H3. You better watch out.
You better watch out. Ooh, what up?
H3 coming through on that motherfucking ass, baby. Listen to me.